We give thanks for the ways Marilee nurtured, encouraged, and supported us. O our beloved God, you are our shepherd. We shall not want. You bring us to green pastures for rest, and lead us beside still waters. Renewing our spirits, you restore our souls. You lead us in the path of goodness to follow love's way. Even though we walk through the valley of the shadow and of death, we are not afraid. For you are ever with us. Your rod and your staff, they guide us. They give us strength and comfort. You prepare a table before us in the presence of all of our fears. You bless us with oil. Our cups overflow. Surely goodness and mercy will follow us all the days of our life, and we shall dwell in the heart of God forever. Amen. We come before you today in grief. There are no words to describe the distress of losing someone we love so very deeply. We have lost someone who was a huge part of our lives, and it leaves such a gaping hole. Each of us is grieving in our own way. For some of us, the only way to express our sorrow is through tears. Some of us are still in shock or angry, and we are not quite ready for tears. For some of us, it's a time for reflection and quiet. For others, it is a time to keep busy with practical things. None of us can take away the grief or fill the hole that has been left in our lives. But we can lend comfort to each other, not only over the next few days, but in the weeks and months and years to come. This is a time to really show love and support for all those who are hurting. In our grief, when we experience loss, we realize that we not only feel the loss of that person, but the other people we have lost in our lives as well. These earlier experiences are still part of who we are. Each of us have our own special memories. The love we received will never die, but can be cherished as we share that love with others. We don't ask that you take away the pain of our loss, or that, God, that you fill the hole that's been left in our lives. But we do ask that you help us to have strength to bear this loss and over time come to be able to celebrate her unique life and to be proud that we were a part of Marilee's life. Amen. Would anyone like to share a loving story or thoughts? By our presence and from deep within our hearts, we acknowledge the crossing over of Marilee into an eternal peace with God, greater and more serene than we can know in this life. We extend our thankfulness for all the rich and blessed times we shared with her. Just as a voice resounds with echoes and a stone jettisoned into a pond creates ripples in the water, so we know that Marilee's love and wisdom continues in echoes and lasting ripples. We trust that the sacred spark of life created in Marilee, her divine essence of unique gifts, obvious to us while she was physically with us, will not diminish with time, nor fade from the heavenly place with God that is now her home. May the stillness of God be in our minds, and the warmth of God be in our hearts, and the wholeness of God surround our sister and each of us forevermore. Amen. Did anybody want to share a story or thought or a prayer for her?
I will.
Thank you.
I do it from here.
Anybody?
I wish you can. Sorry, I'm behind you all. I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time really that I remember with Aunt Mari, because she didn't live super close, but I know that we spent a lot of time when I was really little when she was there, and Heather and Bobby were there, and every time if my mom wanted to go and do something fun like a party or just out being crazy, then all the Creek sisters would get together and we'd be like, oh no, watch out, because they would be silly and always fun. But Aunt Mari, every time like she came over, she always it was like she hadn't ever been away. It was just like, hey, Aunt Mari, good to see you. How's it going? And then she'd tell us about washing her clock or something. Because one time she had a clock and it was dirty, so she took it apart and put the whole thing in the sink and scrubbed it up with soap and all of the parts and got it absolutely perfect and gorgeous and beautiful. But then when she put it back on the wall, it didn't work anymore because we can't put clocks in the water. And there was always something new like that would you have her story about.
Did she keep the clock on the wall to remind her not to wash them again?
Probably. She probably watches it regularly.
That's
That's true.
very sweet.
That's a good story.
Warms your heart. Anything else to share? Well, certainly she has made an impact on everyone's life who she came in contact with. So let's just take a silent moment now to pray silently and offer up our prayers and ask for guidance from God for us to move forward while keeping her in our heart, getting past some of the sadness that we feel. Oh God, help us to get past our grief so that we can just embrace all the wonderful memories that she's left us with. We know she's safe in your arms. And we pray that we will be able to keep her memory alive in our hearts for the rest of our lives, because she's made such a difference in our lives. Amen. Thank you very much. Now today, I'm glad we didn't have the terrible weather that we had the other day.
all you guys, and she touched everybody's lives. It's been so hard this last couple weeks to get over the fact that, she's not going to be here anymore. But I know she was happiest with family. Every time we were around family, her face she'd be grinning ear to ear. So she loved all of us and the people that weren't here today. But before we close, I'm going to ask my Uncle Doug to come up and say a quick prayer with the family and friends.
Bow our heads, however you want to do this. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for the time I got to spend with Mari. And I've known her for a long time now. And I will say this about Mari. Of all the people I've met, there were very few that were more excited about meeting you than Mari was. And because she knew that you would take away the hurt, you would take away shame, you would make her blameless, and that she would be holy, like she was supposed to be, because you would make her that way, as you promised. And she really believed your promises. And she was very excited. And I know we're left behind and we're sad because we don't get to see her now. But I know she is very grateful to be with you. And she knows that you watch over all of us. And someday, we all take a turn. Some of us jump the line. Leaves us older people behind, but we know that she is happy and excited and just very grateful to be with you. And someday we will get to be there too. Thank you for promising that if anyone asks and accepts what you did for us, bring us together with you. By the work of your Son, and we too can be there. Amen. Amen.
Guess that's it. If there's anybody else that wants to come up and say a few things about my mom, Heather, you got anything? Get that in there.
Wait, Sherry wants to say something. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Thank you. She was very caring. Of course, she was always there to comfort me, but she taught me a good lesson about, well, every time I would say goodbye, whether it's I was visiting her in Florida or I was going off to work or somewhere like that, she would have these little sayings for me. One of the sayings, whenever I would say goodbye for, I'm going home or I'll see you in a long time, it was to glorify God in all things that you do. She beat this into my head every time. I've heard it thousands of times from her. But she also lived that life. She showed me what that meant. One day I asked her, I said, Mom, I'm a bill collector. How do I glorify God there? So she told me there's always an opportunity to serve the Lord, to treat people with kindness, dignity, and respect, She showed me what that meant, even as a waitress or as a DJ at a radio station. She was always caring for others. So she firmly believed in caring for other people. And that's what made her so special. She never stopped caring. She didn't hold grudges against people. She had nothing but love. There might have been animosity with people. She wouldn't hate that person. She would forgive that person, and that's what we're instructed to do. We're instructed to serve other people, to go out into the world, making friends with unbelievers, and being for them, being there for them in their time of need. Of course, she was my mom. She's always been there for me, but one of the greatest things she did was, when I was a kid, she brought me to Christ. And she knew that was the only way. It really was. It was the only way. And she was forced to be my mother and father. And we probably weren't the easiest kids to raise.
Oh, don't lie, I was.
It was mostly Heather. I was the angel. She found a way to do it, and she didn't do it on her own. She did it through Christ, who strengthened her. Every time she was in need, she got on her knees, and she cried out to the Lord in prayer. And he always answered. So I know where she's at now. She's a saint. She's wearing her white robe. I can never walk in her footsteps, honestly. The woman was so caring. She would work for people that didn't pay her like they should, people that treated her like they shouldn't, and she would serve them as if she was serving Christ himself. And that's just the way she lived her life. She had that joy in her heart. Nobody could take it away. Heather?
Hi, everybody. So I'm gonna hopefully close this out. If anyone else has anything else, let me know. But I'm gonna take a little bit of a different turn. Good morning, thank you all for coming. Today, to honor my mom, Marilee Starr. And although she carried many different last names, a star is what she was. She was the star in her own show, the light when we needed guidance, and a beam of sunshine when we were feeling blue. She dressed brightly. She laughed a little too loudly, but she gave away a radiant light and a strength that none of us would have without her. She gave that strength away to everyone who knew her. She carried herself with dignity and pride, even when she didn't feel it, and learned to turn the other cheek as a young woman with 2 children alone. So here we stand today, Bobby and I, parents now ourselves, alone. I am fortunately still with my husband, but that's because of the life lessons that Mom gave to us. And I ran out of paper, so I stopped writing. But the courage to carry on in the story that we've been written. And that is what Mom has finished. Her adventure is over now. But Bobby and I are still writing ours. And we have our own children who will be writing theirs. And hopefully, the small lessons that we've instilled in our children will carry on and carry through all of our sisters and cousins. So again, thank you for being here to celebrate the joy that we were given as kids. You know, the mom that we knew, and the happiness that we got to have with her terrible singing off key while doing the dishes. The smell of her hands when she would hold you close. And that's just what she was, is someone wonderful and strong and amazing.
tell you what I know, which the old 86-year-old brain may not be too accurate anymore, but I can't tell you.
That's Christopher.
Yeah, help me out. That's Christopher.
That's Christopher also on the day he was born.
Okay, I did not know that because I was not here.
That's also Christopher, the day of our wedding.
Christopher, that's Heather's son.
That's mom of her ex-husband Ron, Ruth and Ruth's husband.
Okay.
That is Easter of 1995. That is also Christopher. We know that fella. He has each day. That's mom in Frankenmuth on her birthday.
I did not know where that was.
That's the scarecrow. And her friend Jan.
A friend who?
Jan.
Jan, yeah, she spent a lot of time, that was her best friend in Detroit, wasn't it?
That's mom and Ron learning the line dance. This is when Bobby and I took her canoeing.
Yeah.
That is mom eating a sub sandwich with all 5 of her pets.
Okay. That's Bob and Maury again.
Yeah, that's the day after church. She likes to dress up.
Didn't get to the ones I know much about, but there weren't that many
There
because.
will be.
Yeah, because these are a lot of these pictures that
Where were you?
4th of July.
That, as you know, was Scribbles.
Now, what restaurant was this, do you know?
That's mom's
That's
funeral, that's mom's
mom's
funeral.
That's her at Jan's house snuggling Jan's cat.
Jan, okay.
That's Kings Island.
Is it? Okay, I did not know that.
That's mom also at Jan's house cooking. We used to have giant meals and movie nights.
Okay.
I thought you were going to be telling us how these pictures.
I know some of them, they didn't come
That
up,
is
where'd they go?
baby
They're
Sean
gonna come
and
back.
David. They let us hold him. And that's
You.
the day that he was born, she was the only person who got to hold him before they took him away.
Okay.
I have no idea why she did these glamour shots, but
What?
I'm glad she did.
There were some pictures I knew where,
They're coming up, it's on.
It's gonna
they're
repeat.
coming- They're coming up,
okay, where they went away, the ones I knew wanted to
they're coming.
explain where they were.
Here they come.
Here they go.
Okay, she's at Wildwood by the Sea in New Jersey. This was in Rochester, New York, before Julie, her
Which
youngest.
one is she? In the glasses?
She was above the one of the glasses.
Yes.
Is that right?
And I don't know where this is.
That looks like grandma's.
That might be at, my
She
parents.
looks like Julie.
And I don't know this
Yet
one.
another dress up.
That's a Spring Valley, Dad.
Was it?
Yep.
Okay.
This is in front of our trailer after the house burned down.
Okay. Okay, this one, was,
I was 5. I was 5.
okay.
That's Zena. That's the dining room Zena.
How old was she there?
Is that me back there?
Yep, that's you.
Fuzzy hair,
That's you.
yeah.
With the lamb chops there, Ben.
Okay, there's all 5 of the sisters. I'm over there. Oh, this is Nan and Papo, which is
I think we were at St. Lawrence Seaway.
Julie's mother.
Yeah.
St. Lawrence Seaway. We had one trip there. I forgot about it.
Dang, Grandpa, what happened?
86-year-old brain doesn't function. Oh, that's South Detroit Street. This I know. I got offers for that stained glass window from people wanting to buy it.
I bet. That's Kissimmee.
Was that at Kissimmee?
Yeah.
Okay. There's Papo again.
Oh, yeah.
And the Taekwondo, I wasn't there when she took those lessons, but she was in Lincoln Park, I guess. Yeah.
Some of her pictures.
I guess that's all. I only knew 2 or 3, but I thought we had a lot of time, so I could help fill it. All I can say is, well, that's Nan. Yes, that's Nan. That's her mother's mother. Yeah.
That's you again.
That's me in the background. I can't remember a whole lot. When she was growing up, I worked 2 jobs most years. I had a full-time weekday job, Monday through Friday, and then every weekend, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, I worked at a garden store for like 15 years straight. So, you know, I think most parents will say this, many parents will, maybe not most, they just didn't spend as much time with their children as they should have. And I think that's what happened here. A couple of things I can remember, which I think the sickest I ever saw was when she had her wisdom teeth pulled. I took her to have them pulled. I wasn't sure she was going to make it. She was so sick. She could hardly hold her head up. She couldn't hardly stand up. I had to help her. That was the worst. I think, I don't know if you call it sick, but the weakest from having the wisdom teeth pulled.
I remember you bringing her home and you got her a milkshake and she had it.
I don't remember that because that wasn't how sick she was more important to me. What else? I can't remember. Oh, I remember she wanted so bad when she moved from, Jan helped her to move in a Penske truck. A Penske U-Haul, that don't fit. A Penske truck moved her furniture from, was she Lincoln Park then?
Yeah.
That's a suburb of Detroit. Everybody knew that? Who did not know that Lincoln Park was a suburb of Detroit? You don't have to go there. Jan drove her Penske truck with her furniture down to Kissimmee, and she wanted so bad to be a radio announcer personality. And no matter what the cost, she was going to do it. And so she took a course, and she did it, and she got a job at New Smyrna Beach in Florida. You may have heard of it. It's not too far south of Daytona Beach. And she got a job there for, was it a whole year or more? I don't know. Does anybody know how long it was? But it wasn't real long, and she was so happy to get that job, but then I don't know whether
They closed.
they closed the station. I thought that's what happened, and she just couldn't get another job. But that's what she wanted to do more than anything that I can remember her wanting to do. So she did it for a while, but unfortunately, she didn't. She couldn't get that work. So from there, I think she went to being a guard, a private guard service with her brother-in-law, Tom Sunnycale. He had the company. And she worked for at Lockheed Martin plant entrance in South Orlando for a couple of years. You know how many years? At least a couple of years. And she loved that job too. She really did. I worked at Lockheed Martin. I retired from Lockheed Martin, and I still get a little pension. I only worked there 14 years.
What?
She security guarded for Lockheed to work there.
That's what he said.
Yeah. I'm mixing
Oh,
up.
Lauren did, Sherry did, she said.
Sherry did it. Marilee did not do it at Lockheed Martin.
Too many
The old
hours.
brain is down the wrong circuit there. She worked a lot around Kissimmee. I remember her working at
She liked the car show at Old Town, I know that.
Old Town Car Show in Kissimmee. She worked, but a longer one was a timeshare place. Was it a timeshare place, Sherry, she worked at? Or apartment place, I forget. Barefootin' or something like that.
Barefoot Bay, she said.
Timeshare or something. She was a guard there. She liked that job, not as much as the radio announcing job, but she loved that radio announcing job. I just remember that one really because she was. I said I tried to convince her not to take that course. I said $2,000 for a radio course. She didn't care. She wanted it. She borrowed the money and she did it. That's what she wanted to do, and she did what she wanted to do, and I was proud of that.
Always.
I can't.
She absolutely hated waitressing, but she was darn good at it.
She was.
Yes. Oh yeah, let's talk about waitressing. She did have a waitressing job in Kissimmee. She liked right before she moved back to move to Cincinnati. It was at a.
She worked for list as
Well,
well.
we talk about the barbecue show. It was a not Sonny's Barbecue. Was it Sonny's?
No.
Fat Boys.
Fat Boys Barbecue. She liked that job. Yeah, she liked that job. Not as good as the radio job, of course. That was her most favorite job, I think, that she ever had. Yeah, she worked at Fat Boys for a couple of years. How many years? More than 2.
Like 5, 6.
Maybe close to 5. And she was very, like Heather said, she was super good waitress, and she really pleased people serving them, and they gave her really good tips. I'd hear about them sometimes, how big a tip some people would give her, and because she was a good waitress. There's a lot of things I could say, but I can't think. My old brain just can't pull them out of the cobwebs in the back. And any questions you want to ask me about her growing up? I don't know if I could answer them, but if anybody had a question, I don't know. Probably not.
Do you remember what year the fire was?
In Ohio,
Christmas Eve fire.
Christmas Eve fire in I don't know the year. Do you know the year?
I think it was 81 or 82. Well, I was a baby, so I do remember it.
Yeah.
So I had to have been at least 2 because I'm
Well,
a 1-year-old baby.
You remember watching it from the
We watched it from the screen door,
Oh, God.
and Santa Claus showed up with this Garfield doll, and I was really excited about
Yeah,
that
yeah.
because, like earlier that day at the store, I seen Garfield, and I was
What town in Ohio was that?
Morristown.
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 And, okay, that was when I was working 2 jobs, 7 days a
Dad, I
week.
think you were in Saudi Arabia then, in the 80s.
No, not
That was
when I
when
lived
we
in
were in
Ohio. That
Columbus.
was when I lived in Ohio still. I was in Saudi Arabia after we moved to Florida, 1 year after we moved to Florida.
But you moved to Florida in 81.
I moved to Florida in 81, and I was in Saudi Arabia
But not
in
until October. We moved in October.
November. November 16th was the day I started in it.
I thought we moved in October. I thought we moved in October.
But that's not 1 month of the game. I was in Saudi Arabia in 83 and 84, those 2 years.
Okay.
And I flew home New Year's Day from Saudi Arabia back to Orlando on New Year's Day of 85.
Okay.
So that's how I can remember, because I knew I flew back on New Year's Day 85 because I was there 2 years, 84 and 83. So the fire in Morristown, which is in southern Ohio, east of Indiana, east of Cincinnati away.
It's about 20 minutes from here, east.
Yeah, east of here. Their trailer burned down.
Yep.
And who made the comment that when they went through your mother's stuff,
I did.
that you couldn't find money pictures?
No, we couldn't find any pictures at all.
I'm gonna tell you why. If she had any, they got burned up in Morristown, and then when they moved to Lincoln Park, which is a suburb of Detroit, she had her stuff stored in the basement flooded, and she lost everything she had stored there, and probably any pictures she would have had
See,
at that time.
we did have more pictures, but yeah, it has been really stressful ever since she died to try to come up with some pictures. And I just want to say a big thank you to Julie for pulling these pictures off for us, because
Yeah.
Julie hasn't said anything.
Julie did everything. Look at this slideshow. None of these pictures would be possible. I had about 5 or 6 pictures, which is, it's really pathetic. I mean, not to have pictures, but Mom was the one that would.
I want to say something. I'm thinking.
Yeah, so
Just tell me when it's my turn.
Mom was always the one taking pictures most of the time, and she had a little bit of pictures at the house, but somewhere she did have some pictures stored up. I just don't know where she put them.
Well,
I'll find them probably next week.
I suspect they might have gotten ruined in the flooding.
Probably some of the older ones, but there's been pictures since then.
Oh,
that
there's
she
been
had.
newer ones from Lincoln Park.
She had some pictures.
So I would not know that because I wasn't there.
Maybe they won't have the clock.
Yeah, well, also, the day before she died, she did have a bunch of pictures on her computer, and the day before she died, that her computer crashed. Her hard drive crashed.
Oh my, okay.
So the
I think you
night
told me.
she died, that is when it crashed. So computer crashed, and she followed soon after.
I can't think of anything else. I'll think of a lot of stuff after we go.
Julie wants to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
think we're all glad that we could be here today.
Yes, I am happy
We
with
all
it.
have so many memories of her, and we all have our own, and we're all gonna miss her. It's so sad. It just is. But she remembered, and we had her, and that was good.
Even though she liked to cook, she was a terrible cook, guys. She was a terrible cook.
I don't think she's ever in her life.
She may not be a terrible cook.
She was.
Yeah. Well,
She was an awful cook.
it would be impossible for her to cook rice without overcooking it.
Yes.
She could not cook rice without overcooking it at all.
There's a reason she sent me to cooking school at 8. At 8.
Somebody.
Yeah, somebody had to do it.
Well, she knew her strengths, she really.
Yeah, she knew her strengths. Again, the heroine of her own story. And it's we were all just side actors in her play. But after this, Bobby and I have made reservations at the Golden Corral for everyone to come and have some food. I don't have the directions, but I know you can Google it on your phone. Bobby can tell us what city it's in, so it'll be
Eastgate.
Yeah, Eastgate, Eastgate, Golden Corral.
It's 2 exits up. Come on in. 2 exits up.
And again, the reservations are not until 11:30 or 12, so we have more than enough time if we want to look through some things that she had, we brought that we thought were interesting in her life. Most of her accomplishments happened after the age of 40, and she was only 64 when she passed. So she fit a lot of life in those years that she made several accomplishments. And I think her biggest pride and joy was those grandkids sitting right there.
Yeah.
That was definitely the favorite part of her life, was having you guys. There, Julie had said something.
Anybody else got anything they want to add?
I know I'm a stranger. My name is Danielle Rankins. I work with Marty, as we call her at work, excuse me. I'm very nervous.
Don't be nervous,
Don't
welcome.
be nervous.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
It was an obstacle to come because I knew I was an outsider, but ultimately, we at Kroger's are a dysfunctional family. Our parents being management, they don't know how to manage their children. So we felt like once we did what we could while we were with her, it was all left to y'all, and we had no contact. So we couldn't tell you how sorry we were, that we could not bring her home to y'all. But we did our best. For sure, we did our best. We as a team are very isolated at work, but we still come together periodically and talk. It may not be every day, but when I spoke to Maury, she always said that she loved her grandkids, and I would agree that y'all were her joy. And she would say things like, my grandson, we cooked together, and we would talk about food, because our job is food, but ultimately, she was very, very kind and open and just willing to say hello every day. And we don't get that a lot because we all see each other at night, you know? So it was hard to lose her at work because we that's not where we want to be. We want to be with family. So during those moments where she was not responding to everyone's help, I decided that as long as I could stay with her, I would be with her. But I'm not a medical professional, so I had to stand on the sidelines and watch them work on her. And they did everything they could. It was a team of 6 to 8 people, and they all fact-checked each other. It was very thorough for an emergency. So I just want y'all to know that while she was at work, she did have a form of family and someone who always cared for her at work. Always. He always took care of her at work. She always had a partner there to help her in any way. It was hard to ask her to stay. We didn't have the right.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, thank you very much. And
You are not a stranger on
There are no outsiders in
Yeah.
Yeah. Or in
I'm Joe.
He said it.
Oh, Joe. Hi, Joe.
5 years. And we were
it.
side by side with it. In her field.
Thank you.
Good.
There are no outsiders in this family.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, they were, working on me because we always worked together. And I thought I'd be okay, but the next day I felt hard. It hurt.
She did talk about you guys a lot, of course, I'm sure you
Yeah,
heard
she
me.
might talk to you on the radio.
Yeah, I'm your daughter, Heather.
Together, she was always looking for weather channel.
Yes, I told her to do that.
Oh, so good bad weather today.
Yeah, she did talk about you guys, we talked a lot about Kroger, because of course we both work for Kroger, and yeah, she refused to move because her team spoiled her, so that was her phrase. No, they spoiled me. I can't retire yet, they spoiled me.
Joe had that honor.
Yeah.
He had that honor.
And, I did text a few night crew guys that I could find in her phone.
Yeah.
There were several of them, I just didn't text everyone in the time frame that we had.
I tried calling them back, but it was for the number. I knew it had to be one of the sisters or somebody.
Yeah, who we get a hold of, we got a hold of one called Bunny John, Song,
Yes.
Robbie.
Song gave us the information.
Yeah, I texted Song. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
she-
glad we were able to come.
She really made these strong connections with everybody she came in contact with. All these jobs that she's worked, and I know her new one is not any different. She was a people person, she was a pleaser, and I'm sure you already know, she probably worked, she's been in these kind of bad health. You know, she has arthritis, life has taken a toll on her, but you would never know that by talking to her. She would outwork even the healthiest person at the job, and she would build strong bonds with them and be a friend to them. And I know that the people at Kroger, she did love them. She did talk about them all the time, and she had nothing but love for her Kroger family. And I tried to talk her into moving to the Kroger closer to our house, because there's one right here by our house.
You would do it.
But no, she had to drive that 45-minute, half an hour drive to go to that Kroger, because she already made strong bonds with people. So I do appreciate you coming. And she made so many bonds at all these jobs that she worked. She worked as a security guard, and she, you know, stuff that she would do there. There was a homeless person, and their job was to kick the people out when they're homeless, you know, get them out of the, they don't belong here, they need to get out. What does my mom do? She brings blankets.
Yeah.
Dropped off blankets, coats, asked me for clothing. She talked to me about it. I gave her a bunch of clothing. She went and donated. I told her, you know, be safe. Just give it to them and walk away. You don't have to talk to them or anything. She's like, I don't really want to talk to him. What if it's a dangerous situation? I was like, you're right. It's a dangerous situation. Just drop it off and leave. You don't need words. He doesn't need to know that it's from you. But that's just how she was such a caring, loving person, and she was the hardest worker. Even though she had arthritis in her hands, she was getting the skin cancer taken off her face, her teeth, her eyes, and her ears. She couldn't hear that well. Life had taken a toll on her, but you would never guessed it when she was at work, because she gave it her all. She put everything into everything she did. Just like the karate, how do you make it to a black belt? She's done so many things in her life that I can never add up to that. I can never accomplish. She was just that strong of a person. But I know she loved her Kroger family. And I feel bad that all these other jobs that she's had, all these different waitresses jobs, and there's people there that would love to be in this room to be able to say goodbye. And I know they miss her because she hasn't seen him for a while. They probably don't know she's passed away, but consider yourself lucky that you got to come and pay your respects to her, because there's a lot that didn't. I appreciate you guys coming out. She did talk about you guys a lot.
Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
having us.
Yeah. But I think the way she died is about the best way you can go out. I mean, if you think about it, her fear was not dying, actually. Death, just like in the Bible says, death has no sting. To somebody who believes in Christ, the things in this world don't have much for you. But death is when you get to go to heaven. And she was not afraid of death. What she was a little afraid of was growing old and senile. She would tell me from time to time that if I ever get old and, you know, I'm like a vegetable or something, just pull the plug. I'd be like, Mom, come on. If you ever think that I'm going to pull the plug, that's not going to happen. I told her right off the bat. I said, look, I'm never going to be able to pull the plug. We're going to fight for you until the day you die. That scared her a little bit because she knew that I meant what I said. I wasn't joking around. I don't care if she's on life support and they ask me we're going to fight, you know? And, but what worried her was not death, it was suffering. She did a lot of suffering with that arthritis, she broke her leg. And that was a big thing to her because, you know, that was her leg, you know, and she had her whole life stopped for a little bit. But she was getting on in years. She wasn't the greatest in health. You would have never known that at work. But I think I have peace knowing that she did not suffer, and it must have went really quick. Although I don't know exactly what happened to her when she was passed away. From what the people told me at Kroger, it was really quick. She crouched down. She was stocking her bottom shelf, and she slowly fell back and did not move. That's what I was told. I don't know if that's the truth, but that's what they said they saw on the camera. And I mean, that's about the best way you can ask for. She lived a full life. People loved her, and then she was just gone. I mean,
No pain.
there was no pain. There was no tragedy. She didn't get murdered. You know, there's so many worse ways to go. So I think that's about the best way you can go. She was really fortunate to be able to lead that way, I think. And I was fortunate because, you know, when my father died 10 years ago, I had to give CPR to his dead body for 45 minutes to an hour before the ambulance arrived. And that's ingrained in my brain for the rest of my life. And this time I didn't have to deal with it just like that. If she would have died at home, it would have been extra rough. So I am also thankful that she did pass away at work, and that, you know, we didn't really have to be that involved with that, you know.
Her
But
light still gets to shine on.
The light does get to still shine on. She definitely had a light. Anybody who knew her, they could see that light. It was shining. And it's going to be a little darker without that light, but I know that that light is not gone. It is living on. That light is gone to heaven. Her earthly body's gone, her earthly vessel's gone, but that light is by no means gone. It's probably shining brighter than ever. Who's next? Julie? No.
Her face. And again, anyways, we have the reservations at the, what's the name of the?
Golden Corral.
Golden Corral. Eastgate.
Eastgate Golden Corral.
I'll give you the
We have the
address.
party room it's under Philibom.
But it's, can't get in before noon.
You can, yes. You can get in before noon.
We can get.
Oh, we don't have to meet in park?
Well, it's 11:03. By the time you get there, it'll be time.
Yeah. My poor butt is asleep. Although well padded, still equally voting like
Before we leave, if you guys can go out here and check out this cool graveyard. This is a historical church, and I know my mom would have loved this place. I think it's right up her alley. We don't need a funeral home. This is perfect. We
It
have
was a
family.
decommissioned Civil War church. It was just such a cool price.
Yeah.
All bodies, wonderful.
And then
Oh, Julie and Matthew.
Jax didn't come. I guess his mom didn't.
Like, there's two pictures, so much like Julie, it's, she's very